Hello everybody, I am Kelly from Soulcraft Sisters, and today I wanted to do a video as a response, you could say, to Imogen Walters' video she posted a week ago on YouTube, and she called it Tarot Through Years, or Through the Years Tarot and Oracle Spread. And she sort of divided, it was a way of looking at her life and the progression of her life and the themes and the lessons that she's learned, and she is learning through the eyes and through the lens of tarot or oracle cards. You can do it whichever way you want to, and I thought that was interesting, so I jumped into it and I had a go at this spread myself. And I've been journaling, I've been mulling over it, I've been sitting with it for a week now, and I thought I want to share it because what I realized is that I actually got new insights. I actually found out that I have been maybe a little bit stuck in my ways, in the way I think about certain periods of my life, and I forget nuances, I forget these other things that also happened, and it just gives you an opportunity to sort of see things from a wider perspective and remind you of some things as well that you might have forgotten. So nobody knows our life story better than we do, right? But what if we forget parts of that story? Because what if we think and talk about events in our lives in a very specific way? And I don't know, I just think it was a super helpful thing to go back, revisit, and see what new insights might come from it. So that's why I want to share my own cards with you, and also give you insights to who I am. What I did and cards I used were Tarot of the Absurd, lovely little tarot deck here, and the Mariel. And I separated all the major cards and then I shuffled them, gave them a good shuffle. So I pulled a major arcana card for every 7-year chunk in my life. And I pulled a clarifier card, you could say, from the Mariel to see what other aspects and nuances would come forward. So for the age of 0 to 7 years old, I pulled this card here, the Hierophant. So I was born on the 2nd of April 1981 in England, in Reading. And my dad was from England, and he met my mom, who's Danish, in Spain on a holiday, I think, and yeah, they hooked up and they had 2 children, got married. There you go. So anyway, they had me first, and what I remember, what I come to think of when I see this card here is this young child learning the ways of the world, right? And it makes me think of the stability, the safety I also felt as a young girl. In particular, this card reminds me of my dad and the special bond I felt I had with him when I was younger. I remember feeling very drawn to his presence. I would like to sit next to him on the couch, you know, just a bit like this, just sit close to him and enjoy that calmness, that peace that he sort of represented for me. So we were very connected the way I remember it back then. But in general, I felt like I had a safe environment and lots of lovely people around me to show me the ways of the world. So I also pulled this card here, and here you have the 7 of Cups, and in the Mariel, she talks more of this card being our unconscious, the raw self, the untamed, right? And here there's a young girl being tamed, I guess, knowing and being taught how to perhaps control this and make it work for you without denying, of course, your essence. But the whole demeanor of this wolf, this black wolf here, it triggered something in me, because I remember myself as a young child, and when I asked my mother and other people, how was I as a child? And they would all say, you're very observant and quiet. And that's exactly what this card reminds me of. I feel very connected to this black wolf and this idea of just observing the world and trying to make sense of it, I guess, and trying to see how I would fit in, and how yeah, just what's going on here, right? So so that's what these cards reminded me of. This is also a time when I became the older sister, and 15 months after I came into the world, my lovely sister Shelly, she was right behind me. And when I was 3, we moved to Denmark. I think around 3, we moved to Denmark, to Blokhus, where my parents, they set up their lives, and had a restaurant, and then they moved into Aalborg and had cafe and a museum, and they sort of ran that for 14 odd years, I think, 13, 14 years. Anyway, so let's move on, because I'm already a bit behind schedule now. The next chunk of time, you could say, is from 7 to 14. And the card I pulled for that time period was the Hermit. So I think what happened from 7 to 14, and the way I remember it, is this idea of having been taught the ways of the world, being guided. I was now very keen to sort of go within and find my answers within, because I didn't always agree with what I was seeing. So I've always, from a young age, sort of known what was right for me, who I was somehow. I wasn't, you could say I had a lot of friends, but I was never dependent on them to make me happy. I was never in cliques, and if I was being sort of pulled into one, I would gently sort of pull away from it, because I didn't need that. I didn't need that symbiotic experience with others as such. I loved my friends, and I had a lot of them, but I guess I was very sort of reflective even at that age. I was very active. I played handball, which is a very popular sport here in Denmark, and I think I was the team captain during this time as well. We also moved on to a farm. We moved out to a farm, and I enjoyed that, especially in the younger years. I enjoyed the peace and the quiet and the nature, and yeah. But at the same time, this finding, because I also pulled this card here, 8 of Swords, and so the 8 of Swords is all about, building a sort of a wall around you, or because this gate here is not locked, you can walk through it if you want. But I think I was going within and perhaps becoming more conscious of things that could hurt me, things that didn't serve me, things where I needed to show some restraint. So from being this sort of raw, free form, the world also told me, watch out a little bit, you can get hurt there and there, you might want to just put a lid on it there and there, just sort of. I think this happens for a lot of us, and then the rest of your life is all about trying to remove those restrictions, those limitations that are perceived, but that are not real. So yeah, that was my thoughts on this. I also think here, we have this hourglass here, and we have this this genie up here, and he can't really rub it. He needs to have patience for him to flow all the way through, right? So he can rub the genie again. But I think I had this feeling that at this time the world was sort of becoming increasingly small. I was ready for it to expand, especially in my later teen, but I'll speak more of that. But this idea of the world sort of, I was ready for it to expand even more than what was. I think I was ready to go beyond. I was getting ready to see what was this magical fairy land on the other side of my fears and the other side of my imposed restrictions. And this was not something so much outwardly, but something that was happening, I think, inside of me more so. Life showed me that people get mad and that you can hurt yourself and you can emotionally, and you better have your guards up a little bit sometimes. That will serve you. Okay, so now we move on to the age from 14 to 21, and here I got the World card. And it was certainly so, you know, when I talked about the world closing itself in on me, that's how I felt. But when I was 17, I think, I graduated from secondary school and went to gymnasium, and that just sort of opened up my world completely. Exactly, I was so excited. I was so ready to meet new people. I was so ready to expand my horizons. I was so ready to get out of that environment that I've been in, school-wise especially, and just to be fed with new experiences, new people, and I certainly got that. So this was a time where I went to gymnasium for 3 years, and after that I went to something we call højskole here in Denmark, which is kind of like a boarding school for grown-ups between sort of 20 to 25, and I actually worked really hard for 6 months to save up for this and to go there. And it's basically just a play school for grown-ups. That sounds a little weird, but we would do all kinds of sports, and there would be different, like we would do acting, and I don't know, it was just, oh man, it was so much fun. We would do singing, we would live together in very close quarters, and that of course also taught me a lot about myself, my limits, my talents, my skills, my way of relating to others, and my way of feeling full and whole and happy. And I think this is probably the time in my life that I've laughed the most. I laughed so much during this time, belly laughs every day. What a joy. And to go along with this, we have the Six of Wands, and I think this is very suitable, because when I think of this card here, there's this feeling of overcoming and meeting every challenge that I would come across. I had my face remodeled, restructured completely, because I had a slight imbalance here in my jawline here. So when I was 18, they cracked up my face. They put four metal plates in my face, and I think 24 screws, and they're still in there. They're still in there. And so I was just swollen for a whole year as I was graduating from gymnasium. So obviously there were issues of identity, because we place so much focus on our visual look, I guess, and identity. And people would actually think that I changed that personality afterwards. It was super weird for me, but I overcame that as good as I think anybody can, because I'm also just sort of, okay, challenge, let's just conquer it, let's just do it. I'm not gonna cry about it, I'm just gonna do it, because I don't have any other options. So that's always been my mentality. I just get on with it, sort of, and that's what this card especially reminds me of, that period in my life. Yeah, I played a lot of physical sports, handball, and I was good at it. You know, I played pretty high level. It was very sort of a masculine thing, and it was very much about winning and tackling people, and you know, and I was in my prime in terms of exercise wise. I was so fit back then, so fit, so strong, so endurant. It was fun exploring that side of life.